What's up, y'all? Welcome to Barbers Elite. I'm with my boy Jay Brooks. We're about to give him a little tour of the barbershop. Fucking Kobe Black, Ryan Niblet.
You been, man?
I've been good, man.
It's been a minute, bro.
It has.
Man, I guess, man, I just really want to ask you more so about, like, just the journey, bro. Like, how it's been, like, starting from, like, leaving out of barber school. How was that, bro?
Man, you know me, we were both in the same class in barber school about what, 2019, 2020?
Yeah, or, yeah, probably.
2018, 2019. It's been a hell of a ride, man.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously, you know, we had COVID hit, everything shut down. So it wasn't easy, you know?
Yeah.
But the journey's been fire, you know, it's been a challenge. You know, the whole time I've had God on my side, so, you know, I just, in my head, I couldn't lose, you know, having that solid foundation. But, you know, entering barber school, and I know there's a lot of kids going through barber school right now, and it's hard. You know, it's the hardest thing to do, trying to juggle school, family, work, you know, and all these other things that you have going on. So, you know, a lot of people want to quit, but I never quit. I never gave up, you know, never give up on your dreams, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so ever since barber school, for me, it took me about like 2 years to graduate, you know, just because, you know, I was, like I said, trying to juggle school, family, work.
So you graduated in 2020?
Yeah, graduated 2020.
Yeah, some people don't understand that life hits, bro. Life hits, like, at your, like, you know, basically the time where you want to make it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it comes down to how bad you want it.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. Like, I'm like, this ain't like just, you know, I just want to make money. Like, no, you actually have a passion for it.
You do.
Like the feeling when somebody gets out of the chair and they're just like reactions. You know what I'm saying? So, like, going back to that, bro, like, what did it take, dog? Like, I know the best thing to do is to go back to barber school and, like, be an instructor. Like, that's what they were pushing on us. Yasha, coach, everybody, they were pushing that on us, bro. And did you do that?
I did. So I did that. So graduated around 2018. No, I graduated around 2020, right when COVID hit. What I had did was, obviously, I went to a barbershop while I was in school, just to kind of get the feel for it.
Yeah.
And I became a barber at a barbershop right at, like 2 months before I was going to graduate. So I was in the barbershop for about like a year, right? I kind of learned, you know, how it operated. The shop wasn't for me, so after that first year, I quit, went to a different barbershop for about another year. And then it was a total opposite shop. You know, it was more professional, more of my style.
Got you.
And throughout those 2 years, you know, I always had it in my head, I want to build a shop. You know, obviously, you know, I wasn't ready yet, so I was just trying to figure out, you know, I was just trying to learn, like, the systems of shops and how they operate so I can know how to operate mine.
Exactly.
And then after that second shop, I left that one. I created a studio at my apartment because, you know, booth rent is expensive.
It is, bro.
You know, got to pay, you know, like, what is it, like 12 to 14,000 a year. So I said, you know, in order for me to open a shop, I have to save money. You know, so I quit that second shop. I went to my apartment, turned it into a studio, and then did that for another year.
Okay.
You know, and then saved up a lot of money, bought a chair here, a chair there, station here, station there. I just started putting money into my vision.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's what a lot of these people need to do, or barbers need to do, you know, just buy little things here and there, you know, put it in storage. You know, that way by the time you do want to open your shop, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
You know, so then what I did after that third year, I reached out to a realtor, and I went through a lot of realtors, man, honestly. You know, I feel like a lot of these realtors, they don't take you serious. You know, we're young, you know, and it's just like, it's a big vision, it's a big dream, and it just kind of seems like it's not doable in their eyes.
Yeah.
You know, but I just didn't quit. I probably went through like 11 realtors, right? A lot of realtors.
That is a lot, bro.
I feel like a lot of people don't want to help, man. You know,
facts.
Well, that's how you feel.
That's what happened to me. That's how I ended up just going and getting my own personal suite. It was like, bro, I keep hitting all these realtors up. It's almost
like
like they don't want to make money.
Exactly. They just don't believe in you like you believe in yourself. Yeah. So I went through a lot of realtors, and it was very discouraging, man. Honestly, I'm like, man, maybe this isn't. Maybe I'm, maybe it's God telling me I don't need to open a shop. But but at the end of the day, I didn't give up faith. I had a lot of hope. I prayed a lot, and then I finally found one realtor that, I looked on Google, looked up his reviews, and he had a 5-star rating, thousands of reviews, like, go with him, he's gonna take you all the way. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it one last try. So I hit him up, and he was the one, man. He held my hand through the whole time. It took me about a year because he was looking at different places, and what I love about him is that he never gave up. We would always have meetings, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And what I loved about him is that he found me a second-generation barbershop. So this used to be a great haircuts. So, like, everything was already done as far as the plumbing. Didn't need to pull permits. All I had to do was remodel. And So, like, the floors, I see, like, you got nice, like, the gray, like, tile floors. Did you end up doing that yourself? Yeah, I did that myself with a buddy.
Okay.
My dad, he's built a couple houses before in Mexico, so he did all my painting. He put together all my toolboxes, my chairs. So, and a lot of us don't have family, man. But it's like, if there's a will, there's a way. Fair. You can do it yourself. But luckily, I was blessed enough to have my dad help me. And, a lot of things you can find on YouTube nowadays, how to do floors and stuff like that.
DIYs and all that.
So, it was a long journey from barber school to now. It took me about like 4 years to open the shop. And it was the hardest thing of my life, but I never gave up, and I pursued my dreams.
Yeah, for sure. So what would you tell somebody coming straight out of barber school that's, discouraged, just like how you once were, and still has dreams of having their own barbershop?
Look, while you're in barber school, you're going to feel like everything is against you. You feel like everything is just like trying to pull you back. So what I would tell anybody going through barber school is don't give up, man. You're gonna feel like life is against you. Everything, isn't going in your favor. Just, you gotta break through the matrix, man. I feel like once you do break through that matrix, the universe pushes you ahead. Because everything feels like you're just pushing through and everything is against you, trying to hold you back. But once the universe feels like they can't stop you, it'll start pushing you to where you wanna go. And that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I
remember them days, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, not to like, I'm not trying to throw you on a bus or nothing, but I never knew that this was even a dream of yours, bro.
Yeah.
I just kind of woke up one day, seen you over there at the donut spot.
Yeah, for sure.
And you had your own shop, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, that's crazy.
And during barber school, man, I'm not perfect. I was wilding out.
Yeah.
Missing class, and I got kicked out of barber school, like halfway in, because I wasn't, focused, But then when I went back, I realized, man, like, I need to get my stuff together, So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, even if you do have a lot of things you're fighting mentally, with the power of God, with His strength, man, you can overcome it.
Yeah.
And you just gotta have tunnel vision,
Facts, bro.
Yeah.
Keep God first, you'll never lose. Bro.
Exactly. Once you have God as your foundation, you can't lose, man. Yeah. Everything that's meant to bring you down won't, because you have His body armor on you to like block that. That's how I feel. During that time, like, you're so unmotivated because it's hard. You want to give up, and it does kind of feel like it's not gonna happen. But like I say, you just gotta keep going, man. You just gotta finish barber school, make sure you study, that way you can get your license, you can take your test. That's the most important part, is getting your license, being a licensed barber. And then no one can take that from you.
Where do you feel like, as like us as a barber community, that we need to like kind of pick up the steam a little bit and do a little bit more? Where do you feel like we need to like
come together a little bit?
Come together.
So I feel like, everyone is fighting different things in their life, right? So, we as a barber community, I feel like we're not so close like we should be. And I feel like it's because everyone is trying to figure themselves out, coming out of barber school. So I see how, like, we could be a lot more closer. But I feel like once you do figure yourself out, figure out what you want to do and know where you're going, and then, like, make it happen, I feel like it's a lot easier for us to come together once you are where you need to be. You know, it took me years to get this shop. So during that time, I was just focused on myself. You got to be selfish for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you got to worry about yourself. You have to make sure you got.
What's good, bro?
You got to make sure that, you know, you are being a little selfish to an extent. But once you do feel like you have everything that you dreamed of and, you know, God provided for you, I feel like, you know, you do things like this. You know, you come back full circle and you start giving advice to those that need it. And, you know, you bring yourself closer to those that you pushed away while you were working on yourself.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. That's deep. So what are like within the next 5 years, where you see yourself going, man?
Within the next 5 years, I definitely want to have another shop. You know, and the reason why I opened the barbershop to begin with is because, you know, when I used to work before barber school, I would get fired. I would always miss work. I hated being micromanaged. So the reason why I created a shop is for those, you know, with the same kind of problems, you know, that they can't be micromanaged, they can't work under somebody else. I come in to work whenever I want, make your own schedule. Obviously, you have to be, you know, professional, consistent, and reliable, because we're all 1099, so we're our own boss. And I wanted to create a place where, you know, I hire people and they can make money to feed their families. You know, I have 12 chairs here. They're all full, and it's a blessing, man. You know, being able to see, you know, different walks of life come in here, work under me, and you know, be successful.
Yeah.
You know, because some people work better alone, in the sense of like not under any kind of management.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
some people cannot be, you know, employees.
Exactly. And this isn't not only my shop, this is our shop. If it wasn't for all of these barbers here, I wouldn't be here. So this is their shop as much as it is mine.
Facts.
You know, and I love it, man. I just love seeing people win. You know, they always say, you know, when God blesses you, bring people up with you.
Yeah. Facts.
You know, and I brought 11 others up with me.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I opened the shop, man. And that's why in 5 years I want to see myself open another one, because I want to have more barbers, you know, be successful.
Okay.
You know, I want to see people win, man. At the end of the day, you know, I've never been a hater, man. You know, hating didn't get me this far. And, you know, I don't think, you know, it's negativity, and I don't roll with that. You know, I have God on my side, and God doesn't like ugly. Yeah. So I want to see people win, man. Right. I want to see the whole city win. You know, everybody that we went to barber school with, I still have on Instagram, and it makes me happy, you know, seeing the progression, seeing them do big things, you know, having your own suite, because that's not easy. You know, doing these videos, podcasts, it takes a lot, and I love seeing it, man. I love seeing the positivity all around.
Gotcha. So when do you ever see yourself transitioning, like from cutting hair to just letting somebody manage the shop?
So for me, I feel like no, because I like to be in the mix with my barbers. This is a passion of mine. I've been doing this since I was 12. I'm 31, so it's about like 18 years. And this is my passion, it's my purpose. Good. You know, there's no better feeling than coming in here, taking a walk in that's been looking for a barber for months, and then they get out your chair and they say, man, this is amazing. You know, I've been looking for a barber for a long time and I found him. You know, it's just, there's no better feeling than a satisfied customer. You know, so I don't think I could ever stop cutting hair.
I feel you, brother.
You know?
That's when you know the love is in there.
And that's why I feel like a lot of people kind of fail in the barber industry, is because they hear how much money we're making, so they're just chasing the money. Don't chase the money. Fall in love with the craft, perfect it. The money is a byproduct. You know? Yeah. So, you know, I think, you know, as barbers, we have to fall in love with this first. Don't fall in love with the money. The money's gonna come. Yeah. Just make sure you're delivering a high quality product, a service, and you know, you're taking care of your community. And then they're gonna take care of you at the end of the day when it comes to money.
Got you.
You know?
Got you. So, man, you know, I do appreciate you taking some time out to let me interview you, man.
Of course, man. I appreciate you.
You know, the shop, you know, seems like everybody's starting to fill in here, bro, but man, I just want to say, man, I'm proud of you myself, bro.
Thank you, bro. You've seen me at my lowest, you've seen me at my highest. Yeah. You know, and anybody going through it, you know, it's just a chapter, you know, that we learn how to close. And then, you know, you just start doing better in life. You know, you start getting better. Yeah. You know? Facts, man, facts.
Yeah. I know you cut a few players from UT, man. How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, man. So, like I said, you know, a good service doesn't go unnoticed. Yeah. You know, so the work that we do, the people we cut, that's our walking billboard.
Yeah.
So when you're cutting somebody up, make sure you give 110% because you don't know who might see that work.
Yeah.
Like the other day, right? One of my clients was at a Super Bowl party, and Alontae Taylor, that was playing for the Saints, he now plays with Tennessee Titans.
Yeah,
he was there. And he asked my client, he's like, hey man, who cut your hair? And he referred him to me. Alontae hit me up on Instagram. NFL player, bro.
Blue check, bro.
Blue check on it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's crazy, you know? And he hit me up, and he was like, hey man, I loved the haircut you gave, you know, so-and-so. You know, can I schedule an appointment? So you never know who's in the room looking at your work.
Yeah.
So always give 110%. You know, give it your best.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you go to bed to lay your head, you can tell yourself, I did my best today.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you don't know who's watching. And as far as the UT players, I had a barber here that used to work here who would go to the facility to go cut. And one day he told me, he's like, hey man, he's like, you want to come with me? He's like, bring your clippers. There's going to be like 10 people, 10 players there. And they have a barbershop there.
Yeah.
And if they want to see the videos and stuff, it's on my IG.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, so all it takes is one. You know, you cut one of the players and they love it.
Trickle down effect.
It's a domino effect, man.
Yeah.
All the players are going to ask them, where you get your cut? Where you get your cut?
Right.
And once you make that one solid connection, it'll open doors you never thought they'd open.
Yeah.
Now they invite me over to the facility to go cut. They come here. You know, I have a wall full of signatures. You know, we've had Xavier Worthy here, DeAndre Moore, Trey Wisner. We've had Ryan Niblett. You know, we've had Vernon, who went to the Saints. You know, we have a lot of great players that have been here, and those pictures are on my IG as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, man, like if I can do it, anybody can do it, man. You know,
man.
Like I said, as long as you pray, you know, you ask God to open doors for you that you want Him to open, He will. He wants you to have everything you want, as long as you give Him the glory.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man, just do good work, and that's how it happens.
Gotcha.
You know, people see your work. People are out there, you know, looking at other people's haircuts.
Yeah.
And most men will tell you, like, hey, man, that's a fire cut. Where'd you go?
Exactly.
You know, we're not.
And this ain't nowhere near close to UT. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
South. We're south.
Yeah.
UT is all the way like central
downtown.
north.
But when they like the cut, they will come and see you, support you.
Facts, bro.
You know, so that's how that happened, man. And it's a blessing, man. Because I remember one day being at the UT game before I opened the shop, and I was a little tipsy, I ain't gonna lie. I was feeling myself, and I was like, man, you know, I hope one day, you know, I cut some of these players, man. So I prayed that moment. I was like, hey, God, I was like, I don't know how you're gonna do it, God, but please, like, let me one day cut these players. Open my shop 6 months in, started cutting the players. So, you know, and I give all the glory to God, man, because I prayed on it. And like I said, man, you know, I'm not perfect. So like, that's what I'm saying. If I could do it, anybody could do it.
Yeah.
You know, don't give up. Don't get discouraged. It's gonna be discouraging when you're going to barber school.
Yeah.
But just hold on to that dream and don't ever let go. You know, it's you versus you at the end of the day. You're the only one that can stop yourself. And if you don't stop yourself, you'll elevate.
Man, bro, that's a blessing, man. You know, I'm definitely praying for whatever, you know, whatever you want in life, bro, that you reach, you know what I'm saying? Which you will.
Yeah, for sure.
Because God is working His way in your life and you are letting Him, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. And I pray for everybody, man. I pray for all my barbers. I pray for anybody who supports me. I don't just pray for myself at night.
Yeah.
I pray for everybody, family, friends, people I've come into contact with, my clients. I'm a big believer in prayer. You know, God delivers.
Facts.
God delivers.
That's all people need to know at the end of the day, you know, and it's never, you know, you can't be ashamed to like speak on like your faith. No matter the platform, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, you know, what does it say in the Bible about, you know what I'm saying, denying God in front of others?
Yeah.
Or denying what did Jesus say? If you deny my Father in front of others, something He'll deny you.
Yeah.
I don't know the verse exactly, but
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I give God the glory, bro. I'm not ashamed to say God got me here, or God is great, or, you know, I got this because of God. Because I did, you know. Like I said, once you have God as your foundation, nothing can stop you, you know.
Yeah, so is there anything before we wrap up that you want people to know about, you know, the shop, why they should choose Barbers Elite? Yeah,
man, honestly, I feel like we're a great barbershop. You know, we live up to our name. The way I chose my name is because we're barbers and we're elite. So it's Barbers Elite. And, you know, we're in a great location. We're on the west side of Austin. So we get all walks of life. You know, and
what's the address?
It's 1807 West Slaughter Lane. Okay. We're right next to Thunderclouds, Planet Fitness, you know, right behind Discount Tire.
Got you.
Another thing that I want to say is don't just jump into your first shop without going in there, looking at it, because, you know, you might go to a shop and they might play nothing but just ghetto music, you know? Yeah. You're only going to attract that kind of people. Yeah. You know, you want to go to a shop where, you know, you're playing country, you're playing rock, you're playing Spanish, you're playing, let's say you're playing electronic music, you know, you're playing rap also. Yeah. But, you know, you want to accommodate to all kinds of clients in the shop. Yeah. And another thing is, if you are working at a barbershop, make sure you read the room. You know, you'll get a lot of kids with moms, and you'll have a, you know, a girl shaking butt in the, you know, on the TV. So yeah, well, it happens, you know, but you obviously got to be vigilant of who's in your shop. And if you're at a shop where that's going on, make sure, you know, you grab the remote, you change it. Another thing is, man, treat this like your second home, because you will be here more than you are at home. Yeah. You know, and, you know, so whether that's take out the trash, you know, clean up after yourself after you're done eating, restock the waters, you know, restock the toilet paper, napkins. Because a lot of barbers don't do that, you know, because they're already paying booth rent. They're like, well, I'm paying booth rent, I don't need to do nothing. But this is a reflection on your character at the end of the day. Yeah. You know, and if you ever want to open a shop, the things you do at the shop you work at is going to transition to your shop. Yeah. And if you're not used to or learn how to take care of the shop that's not yours, imagine what you're going to do when it's your shop. Yeah. You know, it builds character. Right. You know? So, you know, I think they should choose Barbers Elite, man, because we have great barbers here, you know, and we motivate each other. We help each other. There's no competition. Yeah, we talk a little mess to each other. Yeah, we talk a lot of mess to each other, but it's love. You know what I mean? I feel like at every barbershop. Yeah, that's every barbershop. It's every barbershop. It makes it fun, you know, because the clients, you know, they engage too. They laugh, you know, they know we're messing around. Yeah. But we get a lot of walk-ins here. Like for spring break, last week, we had over 60 walk-ins. Fire. You know, and we've only been open 2 years. You know, but another thing is, if you're going to go to a shop, make sure the barbers are better than you. And because the reason why I say that is, so you can learn. You know, you don't stop learning. You know, and you also want to go to a barbershop where you can go, you know, to every single barber, and they don't mind you shadowing. They don't mind you asking questions, and them giving you gold nuggets. You want to go to a shop where, like I said, where there's no competition, where everybody wants to see each other win. Yeah. We're a team. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're a family. We're a team. And there's a lot of barbershops out there, man, where like they don't want to help you because they feel like you're gonna, you know, you're gonna elevate them. Yeah. You know, but like I said, man, it's all about love and, you know, family and teamwork.
There's too many heads in Austin for you to cut.
Man, there's so many people out here, man. Like there's so many people. No, there's enough money in Austin for everyone to eat. Yeah. You know what I mean? So just, you know, that's what I love about my shop, man, is that we're on a good side of town. You know, all of my barbers love staying here because they're all making money, man. They're making anywhere from $1,500 to almost $3,000 a week. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's a blessing, and I give that glory to God, you know, because like I said, man, He made this happen. You know, and just never give up, man. You know, I know coming out of barber school, it can be very discouraging. The worst feeling there is being behind that chair, not knowing what to do. Yeah. But you need to be in a shop where you can be like, hey,
what do
Trey.
I do with this?
Like, hey, Trey, you know, hey, can you come over here real quick? Show me a little something real quick. I'm having difficulty taking out this line. Yeah. You need to be at a barber shop, but they'll be like, yeah, man, I got you. Let me, you know, give me a second. I'll be right there. Or the owner, especially the owner. You need to be at a shop where the owner is walking around, making like looking at cuts, cutting hair, you know, motivating the barbers, but also walking around and watching the new barbers, you know, and being, and you got to be open-minded as a barber. If he says, hey, can I show you a little something? Yeah. Don't be closed-minded. Be like, yeah, man, like, I got you. Yeah. They're most likely going to have more experience than you, and it's free game. Exactly. And that just shows that they want you to win. Yeah. So, you know, go to a shop where the owner is very loving, giving, and he wants to see you win. Yeah. And that's what we do here, man. We help each other out so much, and, you know, we don't take this for granted, you know? It's a blessing. So, and that's how you build a strong presence, is every haircut leaves here fire, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, well, man, I appreciate you letting me interview you, man.
No, I appreciate you coming by, man. It's love. We keep seeing each other everywhere, man. I feel like it was meant to be.
Heck yeah.
You know?
Heck yeah.
We kept crossing each other's path.
Bro. You're the one person from barber school who I always see. I see a Bishop sometimes here and there, but you, I don't know, bro. It's just been like every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you know,
consistent.
I see you, consistently. But man, if you want to give everybody, you know, the Instagrams for you, yours, and the barbershops one more time before we get out of here, man.
Yeah, man. So my Instagram is Mezzy Faded, MEZZY That's IG. And then if you go on there, on my bio, it'll say Barbers Elite, and that'll be my business Instagram. Y'all give me a follow, man. I'm always open for y'all to come here, shadow if y'all need some free game. You know, no charge. You know, I love giving back to the community. Feel free to add me, I'll follow back, and we'll see you here.
Bet. Appreciate you,
man.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you, man. It's love, bro.